Vice News had a great segment on the current situation in Libya. Right now, the country is in utter chaos, and they're in danger of becoming a failed state. Let's watch.
3 years after the revolution that led to the downfall of its president Muammar Gaddafi, Libya is still in a state of chaos and insecurity. Militant groups who once fought to topple Gaddafi are now turning on each other in an attempt to seize power and oil wealth. On the 16th of May, General Khalifa Haftar, the former commander of Gaddafi's army, turned on the General National Congress and their rebel groups in both Tripoli and Benghazi, returning the country to the brink of civil war. In response, one of the most significant rebel forces, the 17th February Battalion, joined a union of rebels called Operation Libyan Dawn, or Faj Libya. The 17th February Battalion was heavily involved in the revolution against Gaddafi. In 2011, Vice News filmmaker Median Daria followed Salah, a member of the 17th February Battalion. Expelled from Libya for 24 years, Salah returned to help overthrow the Gaddafi regime. This year, after 41 days of heavy fighting, Faj Libya managed to seize control over Tripoli and its international airport. In the east of the country, the city of Benghazi has been a key battleground between the Libyan army and rebel groups, one of which is the Islamist group Ansar al-Sharia. Ansar al-Sharia is another revolution-era militia, one growing in influence with alleged links to the Islamic State. However, they're yet to declare this officially themselves. As the civilian population suffers amongst the clashes, groups like the rebels and Ansar al-Sharia are trying to position themselves as a solution for stability.
I have no idea what the solution is in Libya. In all seriousness, it may be fucked beyond recovery. It sounds crazy to say that, but the more information comes out of there, the more I scratch my head and go, whoa, this is overwhelming and there's no good answer. The problem is, and this is the double-edged sword of the Arab Spring. Now, I supported the Arab Spring, but when you look back at it, there's this really, really interesting and scary conundrum. And the conundrum is this, that these are people in certain areas of the Middle East. They've been so repressed for so long, and they've been so beat down for so long and so conquered for so long that as a result of that, there were certain tendencies in these regions. And that tendency is, not just for this reason, but also for other reasons, cultural reasons as well, that people are, statistically speaking, much more religious, and a higher percentage of the population is more fundamentalist as well. So you have higher rates of fundamentalist religion and higher rates of religiosity overall in these areas. So when you have somebody who's a caricature of a dictator, like just a joke of a ruler who rules with an iron fist and he's insane and he literally had to rape rooms at schools to pick out little girls and fuck them, talking of course about Gaddafi in Libya, it's clear that that guy can't stay in control, and he shouldn't stay in control. I mean, the most brutal of the brutalist dictators out there, just on a whole nother level. So yes, that guy needs to be overthrown. But then what do you replace him with? Now, again, I agree, he has to be overthrown. There's no question about that. But what goes in his place? And what we're learning right now is you have fighting amongst nothing but jihadist groups. They say there's the people who represent the old regime, so also tyrants and dictators, okay? People who were formerly in the military and now they decided we're going to try to take control of the country. It's the old regime and a dictator-like system versus all these different groups that want a Sharia-like system with them personally running it. In that case, there's no good answer in that case. And again, this is the double-edged sword of the Arab Spring. On the one hand, yes, you want the people in the Middle East to get to take their governments back into their own control. But the downside of that is the levels of religiosity right now are through the roof, and any democratic regime in certain Middle Eastern countries, it's going to be a Sharia-like system. It's going to be a very extremist, far right-wing, theocratic law type system. So either you go down that road and you cross your fingers that Eventually, however many years down the road, these will become more functioning democracies. They'll get all the craziness and the fundamentalism out of their system in X amount of years, and you hope that the democracy will eventually become a functioning democracy. And you got to hope in that time span that these states don't try to invade other countries and, do international terrorism, state-sponsored international terrorism, et cetera, et cetera. Either that, or you have to go the model of like Sisi in Egypt, where Sisi is a brutal dictator. He doesn't care about killing people who disagree with him. There's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of the press. They banned the Muslim Brotherhood again, just like it was banned under Mubarak when he was the dictator. So it's either democracy and a Sharia-like system or a brutal dictator. Those are your options right now. There is no third option. There is no, let's have a democracy-like system and they'll, put in somebody who's like Thomas Jefferson. Not going to fucking happen. It's just not going to happen. So what do you do? And I don't know what the answer is. And according to Vice News here, they're saying, look, if it's not a failed state right now, Libya, it's going to be soon. And they didn't even mention that not only are there people affiliated with the Islamic State that are now in Libya, there was an article the other day that said flat out, the Islamic State is in Libya. This is getting scary. I mean, the Islamic State already makes about $3 million a day from oil fields that they captured in Syria and some in Iraq. That's no good. But then also now we might have official Sharia states. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, you guys know me, man. In terms of U.S. foreign policy, I don't think it's our business either way. But I say that full well knowing that it might be the case that no matter what, the world is going to go to shit. that region of the world is just fucking donezo for multiple generations. So I'm under no illusions. The U.S. certainly fucked up Iraq. We destabilized Iraq when we went in there, and we're making it worse by staying there. I still believe in non-interventionism in the sense that we make ourselves less of a target if we're not meddling in other people's affairs. The only time we should use the military is to protect the nation from imminent attack. Still believe that to my core for sure. But at the same time, I'm well aware that when we do mind our business, it's not going to all of a sudden become, puppies and rainbows and singing Kumbaya overseas. It's going to be bad. It's going to be rough, especially in a place like Libya.